Hey, what's up everybody? Back again, video number 14. Today's video, I'm gonna do something that's controversial even though it should be totally fucking normal. And this video is gonna be called How to Do Magic. What is magic, right? And the first starting point, I know these kind of tend to be all over the map, but it makes sense in the end, trust me. All right, so first part is, the first part is about how, okay, a lot of people, when they think of magic in the Western Hermetic tradition, think of basically Freemasonic, Knights Templar, and Golden Dawn, which was an offshoot of the Freemasonic, right? And these are generally Hermetic mysticism combined with some Babylonian shit. But the point is, this Western system is all pretty much stolen from Tantra. And it's a poor imitation of Tantra. And I know this is a statement that's going to need some supporting evidence. So let's start off with a very famous person, probably the most famous occultist in modern history, and that's Aleister Crowley. Fascinating human being. Completely contemptible in a variety of ways. This is one of those things where I say learn from your enemies. But I have two or three very things that no one can ever take away from Crowley. Even though he was a contemptible heroin addict and liked to have bus sex with people against their will while they're on drugs and stuff, but like, and like to sacrifice cats and whatnot. But there's a couple super awesome things that he did. And number one is bringing yoga to the West. His books, I will still go look at his books on yoga that he wrote in the 1900s, dude. Way ahead of his time. One of the only Europeans that was publishing about yoga. And he got some really key important details out into the West. And he physically went there. He went to the Himalayas. He was a mountain climber. He went to the Himalayas and he met these Tibetan masters. And so that's kind of the chain of custody in my eyes of how Tantra basically came to dominate all the Western esoteric magical traditions. And essentially I consider most of it all to be a very pale and not effective copy of Tantra that misses a lot of the key elements. But the point is, he wanted to go find out how to do magic. He went to the Tantric Buddhists. And one of his close friends, Alan Bennett, I think was also a Buddhist in Southeast Asia. So there's a very strong link between the magic theosophical movements of the 1900s and stuff and Tantra, which a lot of people do not get. Tantra is hard to comprehend. I know, I don't blame them. It's fucking taken me 30 years and I'm barely starting to get at a kindergarten level. But I think it can save the world, honestly. And that brings me back to our topic, how to do magic. Well, first, in order to understand that, you're going to have to know what magic is. The first part, the point I was trying to say is how Westerners found Tantra and they got this idea about doing magic. And if you've seen a tantric ritual ever, it's so complex. It's like Crowley and all these Golden Dawns and the Freemasons. They're like kids playing with Legos, dude. And the Tibetan Buddhists are like sculpting with energy beams and like interfacing dimensions. And like, I'm not going to tell you what I know about it because first of all, you wouldn't believe it, but no one would understand it even. But the point is, this is how Westerners went and tried to learn to do magic from the Tantra Tibetans. So what is magic? Crowley himself defines magic as causing change in conformity with the will. So making something happen, basically, through mysterious means. Crowley was really into action at a distance and astral projection. I'm pretty sure that a Tibetan taught that motherfucker astral projection, and the rumors are that he was really good at it. People wouldn't even know that they were just seeing a projection of him. They would think he was physically present. That's how good he was. This is the folklore, you know. This is the like apocryphal stories by people that knew him and whatnot. But anyway, this is something that Tibetan masters have been doing for a long time. But he learned from some of them, and he got most of the core ideas of Thelema come from Tantra. And if you read Kenneth Grant's Beast and the Hidden God, he pretty much says this outright. He's all, Thelema is pretty much Kala Tantra. And I was like, yeah, of course it is. But anyways, I'm not really into that style of Tantra. I'm more into the core elements of it, like how they set it all up and the teachings is the same. You know, the Indian Tantra is probably older. The Shaivism and whatnot, it's probably older than these other Buddhist Tantras. And but they combine a similar methodology, which is what I call the immersive method. And so the thing about Tantra is your whole day becomes the ritual. Everything is the mandala. Everything you're doing is a constant magical ritual throughout. I mean, once you've accomplished, you're actually doing it. That's what it means. It means that sustain continual consciousness of the mandala, whatever you do, wherever you go. You see everything as God. You see every person as a reflection of the supreme deity that you're invoking. You hear every sound as the mantra and the music of these divine emanations. And everything you see and experience is considered the magical display of the deity. And it's deep, man. But okay, what does this all mean? So there's some key elements that you need to know to do magic. And one of the most important is the doctrine of correspondence, which basically you could sum it down in like causes like, cause and effect. So like when you're doing magic, a lot of times you use lesser magic, which is kind of like drawing a blueprint before you build a house, right? You're doing a small mock-up of what you want to accomplish. And this, in essence, is mostly just for your mental awareness, because you want to have a strong mental concept. Whatever you can do. Drawings are super effective. 3D paintings, like whatever you could do to convince, to trick your senses to believe the result that you want is already there. To represent it symbolically. A lot, people use aroma. Tibetans love incense, and they got all kinds of different incense. So they got aroma, they got color, they got music, kinds of wild musical instruments. The whole, if you've ever been inside a Tibetan temple, it's just like wall-to-wall art, man. There's paintings, there's like hand-carved calligraphy and painted calligraphy on every beam and some of them, not all of them, but they all have colorful banners and silk brocades, and like you're in art. It's like being inside a 3D immersive painting, right? And then the food, they do the tormas and all these different things, like it's all super ornate and it's immersive. Like every part of it has a ritual purpose, and the whole universe is considered to be within the mandala. So like Westerners, they have a magic circle. You cast a circle for anything that you're going to do to basically create like a controlled perimeter around you. But with the Tantra, the perimeter is infinite. It's like you're encompassing all of reality within the circle. It's pretty crazy. And that includes time and space. Eternity and stuff like that. Anyway. So the doctrine of correspondence means like, okay, say we'll take it the dumb level, basic at 101. Say you want money, right? So you would use things that you would associate with that, like the color green. There's all kinds of plant scents that are associated with money. Gamblers use chamomile in their hands. Mint is like a money herb, supposedly. I use it pretty successfully. Thyme is also a money herb. But, I mean, there's reasonings behind all that. But the point is you try to find as many things as possible that correspond to the effect you're desiring to produce. And so this gets into herbalism. Like I was saying, the herbs have different actions and the aromas have actions that they produce according to the system, if you believe it. I find it to be pretty effective personally, not only for health, but transformation of consciousness and magical effects. So anyway, you use the doctrine of correspondence. You take and you try to create a mock-up of what you want to produce, and you have as many things that are in tune or in harmony or at a vibrational resonance with the effect you wish to produce. And it's including like music, like say you want love, like you want a love spell or a money spell, like there's a certain type of music you could probably find that would be appropriate. And really it's all about your consciousness. I mean, if you're the only one partaking in the ritual, if it's a personal ritual, it's all about what transforms your consciousness and gets your mind to the vibrational state that you want it to be in to produce the effects you want. And so, like, I don't know, there's a school called Chaos Magic, and they kind of go really into detail about emotional energy, and you're supposed to raise all this intense emotional energy. And I kind of believe in that, but I think you got to make it really focused. I don't believe in the chaos magic. I mean, I'm not saying chaos magic doesn't work. I'm sure it does. I mean, I've experienced similar effects to what they would describe it as. But like, for me, I don't think it's as helpful. Because with everything, like I mean, it's good to have an openness when you're doing this kind of work to unpredictable things to come in. That's good. But I don't think chaos should be the driving force behind it. That's just an opinion. It's just an opinion based on my experiences. But anyway, so using the doctrine of correspondences, you try to get your consciousness into a state of total focus and total resonance on the desired result. Emotional energy is very effective. Like if you can get your emotional energy worked up to a fever pitch, a lot of people advocate this. And there's a variety of methods for doing that: chanting, dancing, spinning around in dervish style, you know, whatever works for you. You know, it's good to experiment with different things. But so emotional energy and intellectual and mental focus and sensory focus are two of the most key elements to that. Now, the advantage of a sadhana is that you have a daily practice. So in essence, like, you're setting a tone for your mental state too. And if the more routine you can be with it, like a lot of people get up at 3:30 a.m. and do their sadhana every day. And some people are doing stuff like, I seen a couple monks, and I don't know if they're monks necessarily, practitioners that did not sleep. And that wasn't considered really that particularly notable. You know, that was just like, oh yeah, I never sleep. And they will stay up and chant and play drums and chant. And they have no need for sleep. Personally, I feel that it has something to do with how these brain states you get into in a meditative trance. You can induce a theta train, and it's similar to the dreaming vibrations that you have. And then actually dreaming is probably the most essential aspect of sleep. They found that if you can just disrupt someone from getting into REM, they will go mad, like, pretty fast. And they will definitely not feel well rested and stuff. So the brain needs this dream activity. So if you can induce that, that's one part of Tantra. You know, the continuum of awareness that pervades all the states of consciousness. So that's one result that you can get. Anyway. So, okay, now here's a super important thing. I probably should have said this first before everything else. Actually, this is the most important. When you do magical acts of will, everything, the karmic component of it all is multiplied. Okay? In the Buddhist theory, they basically say that the intent is super critical to the karmic accumulations and the results of things that you do. It's very much about intent. So like, say an accidental action won't carry nearly the same karma as something that was volitional, that you sat and premeditated and thought about it and analyzed it and questioned if it was right or wrong and then still did it. And then also they say that if you glory in it afterwards, like if you're grateful and glad that you did something and you take pride in it, that multiplies karma too. But my point is, when you're doing magic, you really have to think about the karmic aspect, because there's going to be triple, you know, or 10 times karma for whatever you create. And what if you make a mistake? Or what if you willfully create something that's harmful to you and others? It's not uncommon, man. So you really, really have to think super deep about it. And like I was saying, with Tantra, it's all embracing, right? So it's not like you're going to produce some internal, external effect on something and there's no consequences. Like, it's all tied in. It's like the whole universe is tied in. So your best bet, if you maintain the Buddhist theory and you want to do magic, your best bet is to basically just try to more or less use your intent and focus to direct pre-existing natural energy into a widely beneficial outcome, you know? And to have it be all embracing. Like, you never want to think of like, oh, I'm defeating this person, I'm going to take this resource and do this and that. You never want to think that way. You want to think that the ripples of benefit pervade all. That everything's included in the Tantra. It's all in the mandala. There's no outside to it, right? So the magic result you really want to produce is your own perfect enlightenment. Really, that's the most. Really, it's the only worthy goal of magic. So that's probably a good idea to focus on that if you're going to do magic. And it will help everyone else too. It fulfills that condition. So this is my topic for today, how to do magic. I'll tell more next.